Now, football is a sport like any other, with legends who have careers that have spanned for decades, etching their names into the history records of football itself. However, in my mind exists this unique category of player. Players who are brilliant, reaching their all-time peaks of football, but then ultimately just disappearing. With these players almost seeming surreal, like a fever dream. I don't actually know if their careers are real or not. Maybe because I wasn't alive to watch them, or because I was watching them and then they just randomly disappeared. And I think the first player that comes to mind when I think of a fever dream is R9 Ronaldo. Now wait, stop with the abuse. Just hear me out. Now, unlike many of you watching this video, I have actually never watched, R9 play a full 90 minutes live. I've only gone back and watched games of him playing and seen his brilliance. I watched the entirety of the 2002 World Cup just to, see every goal, and I made an entire video about it. But still, his career actually comes across as some sort of fever dream. Because growing up, I didn't even know that he was some legendary player. Me and in the playground, we just thought, oh, fat Ronaldo. This guy, who's this? I know Cristiano. I don't know fat Ronaldo. But when you look back at the discography, what he accomplished in such a short span of a peak in his career, whilst fighting nearly career-ending injuries. Moving from Cruzeiro in Brazil to PSV in the Eredivisie, this guy's transition was seamless. From 1994, after joining PSV, he scored 54 goals in 57 games across the span of 2 seasons. Then in the 96/97 season, he made a big move to Barcelona, scoring 47 goals in 49 games, including a hat-trick against Valencia and that solo run finish against Compostela. He took it from the halfway line. This guy is because of his season with Barcelona, he went on to win the Ballon d'Or, the best player in the world. He was younger than 21. This is not real at all. This is FIFA. This is Pro Evolution Soccer become a legend. And this peak in his career felt like a dream because it only just got better. After Barcelona, again, he made a move, flying over to Milan to play for Inter from 1997 all the way to 2002. With many moments marked by sheer brilliance, in his first season, he scored 34 goals. Then in the 98 World Cup, again, his performances were legendary, scoring 4 goals and getting 3 assists whilst leading Brazil to a final. And then of course, where the peak hit its tippy top in the 2002 World Cup. After recovering from one of the worst injuries that could have even ended his career, he came back, led Brazil single-handedly, winning top goal scorer, and won the entire competition by himself. But then after that, after 2002, the decline was just steady in his career. And I think it does go down to a lot of things, including injuries, hypothyroidism. R9's peak was so extraordinary that it almost seems mythical. And he is honestly one of the biggest what could have beens in football. Another player that is also in the same category when it comes to players that don't feel real is Marco van Basten. Similarly to R9, I grew up in an era where I did not see Van Basten play. But whenever I'm told or get to see some of the spectacular things that he accomplished in his career, I almost think, how did this guy exist? This is not real. A striker that played throughout the 80s, he was the pinnacle in his position. One of the original Flying Dutchmen whose career started at Ajax, where he scored 152 goals in 172 games, including 37 in the 85-86 season, which led him to win the European Golden Boot. But then he makes a move from Ajax to another powerhouse in European football, Milan, marking the beginning of a golden era. Alongside the likes of Ruud Gullit and Frank Rijkaard, he formed this incredible Dutch trio that again would go on to dominate European football. And it was this that led to a peak that almost feels like a fever dream. In the 1988/89 season, he had one of his greatest individual campaigns. That season was also the Euros, and he scored that iconic volley that I think every football fan has seen. A volley that was literally scored against USSR. The USSR, bro. This ain't real. Van Basten also won 3 Ballon d'Or awards in 1988, 1989 and 1992, whilst also leading AC Milan to win back-to-back European Cups in 1989 and 1990. But again, this is one of these guys that had this peak and then injuries just chronically hit him. He suffered a bunch of ankle injuries that slowly but surely led to the decline of his career, playing his last game at 28 years old and retiring at 31. Now, a player that I actually do remember now, we have to talk about Alexandre Pato. He was one of the rising prodigies during his early career. He was playing in the Brazilian league before being snapped up by AC Milan, making a move in 2007 for around 22 million euros, making him at the time one of the most expensive teenagers in history. And again, his peak years would actually feel like a fever dream. In the 2009/10 season, Pato scored 14 goals in 23 Serie A games, including a brace against Real Madrid in the Champions League. He also scored a goal against Barcelona in the 2011/12 Champions League, which everyone remembers, and I think they just know him from that goal. But again, it was these recurring injuries, muscle injuries, that slowly affected the downfall and the decline of his career. He had this trajectory to be one of the best, young strikers in football. But then what? We never heard from him again. This was a lightning fast striker that had the world at his feet once he moved to Milan, but unfortunately his career just does not feel real at all. And another guy that had a peak that did not seem real to me is Basten. I remember him playing for Sporting one season and scoring like 40 goals in a season. Genuinely, Basten, he was playing in the German league, then he randomly came up at Sporting and he was just bagging goals. This was Gyökeres before Gyökeres. But bringing it back to a prodigy that could have been something amazing, we have to quickly bring up Ledley King. During his early career at Spurs, he showed some of the best qualities that we could see from a defender during this time. The composure on the ball to tackle, the stature and presence, but also this commanding energy that would eventually hopefully lead Tottenham to see, some success in their club's history. He made his debut back in 1999 and quickly became a fan favourite. And slowly over the years he would get better and better, with the 2005/6 season being, almost the peak, making 30 appearances and helping Tottenham finish 5th in the Premier League. With his performance against Arsenal in 2006 honestly going down as legendary in the Tottenham fan base. But again, Ledley King's career would be just shrouded by injury. Time and time again, he would have a season where he played a lot and then boom, he's playing 10 fixtures. His career honestly is summarised best as a bittersweet symphony. Whilst making 321 appearances for Tottenham, they all came at times where, they could have asked for so much more. And from one part of North London to another, I have to talk about Abou Diaby too. Joining Arsenal in 2006 for a mere £2 million, Diaby showcased his physical ability from early on in his career, and he would ride the bench for years, sitting below Arsenal's best midfielders at the time, waiting on an opportunity. But it was the 2011/2012 season where he really got let loose, being able to showcase his true abilities and again show the Arsenal fan base that he was the guy. And I think a lot of fans will remember his performance against Liverpool back in 2012 where he completely ran the show. He was this midfielder that we hadn't seen since the likes of Patrick Vieira, this tall, lanky French midfielder that had the technical ability to take it past the man, could do a little intricate turn before spreading the play, but also could bombard up and down the pitch. He was again another one of these midfielders that is now the blueprint for so many in the modern era. But during the span of his career at Arsenal, he would suffer over 40 injuries, including a horrific ankle break back in 2006 that made him ride the bench for so many years. Now finally, this is the last player that I have to mention in this video, but we have to talk about Matheus Pereira. Now this guy was a midfielder that played for West Brom, and from like 2019 to 2021, he had a career that I almost completely forgot about before making this video. In the 2019/20 season down in the Championship, this guy got 8 goals and 17 assists, leading West Brom to the Premier League and then continuing his form there, where he was able to score 11 goals that season coming up from the Championship. This was like this Brazilian maestro that just came out of nowhere, playing that 10 role, dipping on the left hand side, dipping on the right, and just pulling the strings. And in particular, I fondly remember a game against Chelsea where West Brom won like 5-2 and Matheus Pereira, again, leading the line, showing everyone. But did I remember that until I saw his face? No. I did not know none of this until I saw his face. He is the definition of this video topic, you know. Now there's just some footballers in this sport that genuinely don't feel real, and it goes down to their careers. How did they spend their careers, and were you around to see them play football? Sometimes we forget the brilliance of players that, you know, come and go year after year, but when we look back and we do the research and find out these names, they bring up this nostalgic memory that we can go over and see that they were once an amazing footballer. So from the likes of R9 to Abou Diaby, let me know a player that genuinely in your mind doesn't feel real. And if there's a bunch, maybe we'll go back and do this video again. But yeah, let me know in the comments below, and of course leave a like if you enjoyed the video, comment, subscribe if you're new, and if you want to support the channel even more, you can become a member, you know, if you want. Who actually cares? No one cares. But yeah, this has been Jib Rules. Make sure you stay safe, stay blessed, and peace.